The Petroff defense is the second most common reply against e4 knight c3. Instead of defending the e5 pawn with knight c6, black decides to counter-attack the white's pawn, and here white have some responses. White can go knight takes e5, which will lead to other variations like the Stafford gambit or even the Nimzowitsch attack. Or here he can go with d4, which is the modern attack. And there are other variations like the 3 knights Petrov or the Damiano's variation where both sides captures towards the center. So let's cover them one by one. Here after white takes this pawn, here you can go with d6, which is the main line. So here there is a tricky line which is the Stafford gambit, and I had already made a video on the Stafford gambit. You can check out that video by clicking on the I button above. So here after d6, white goes back, you just take this pawn, and here the main line for white is to go knight c3, offering an exchange of knights. Here you take this pawn, and after black recaptures, you go bishop e7. White's idea is to develop his pieces and castle quickly on the queen side. White goes bishop e3. You develop your knight. White goes queen d2, preparing to castle long. You play bishop e6. White castle. And here you go queen d7, preparing to castle either way. White goes something say king b1. Then you just play bishop f6. Let's say white goes h4, trying to expand on the king's line. Here you can castle short, but since white has pushed this pawn, you can castle on the queen side and then continue playing. Now let me show you the other most popular variation, which is d4. This is the modern attack, and here most of the beginner players make a mistake of playing d6 or d5. For example, if you go d5, then white can just take here. You also capture in the center, and white goes bishop to b5 check. And here after you block with something say c6, then white can just take here, you recapture. And here white can move his bishop back. And here white have a slight advantage because you have these weak pawns and these are very difficult to defend. Therefore here there are two popular lines. You can either take this pawn or you can either take this pawn as well. If e takes d4, then white can just push forward. Then you go in the center. White attacks with the queen. But then you can just play d5. And even though white captures off a saw, you can just recapture with the knight and the position is quite equal. Therefore here, the main line is knight takes e4. White goes bishop to d3, attacking this knight. But you go with d5. Knight takes e5, centralizing his knight and regaining the pawn. And here you play knight to d7, offering to trade knights. Let's say white takes this knight, then you can recapture with the bishop. And let's say white castle, then you can move your bishop, castle on the king side, and then continue playing. Here, white can also try to play c4 to disrupt your center, but here you can just defend with c6. For example, you go bishop d6, white plays c4, you can just defend with c6. Let's say white takes this pawn, then you can recapture and the position is equal. Here after knight to f6, white can also go with the 3 knight Petrov, knight c3. Then you go with bishop to b4. Here white takes this pawn and then you just castle here. White goes bishop to e2, preparing to castle. Then you put this rook on this open file. White goes say knight f3, attacking the bishop. Then you can just take this knight, and after white recaptures, you can regain the pawn. And after black castle, you can just continue playing normally. Now let me show you the most trickiest line in the Petrov, which is the Damiano's variation. Here after white takes on e5, he also takes on e4. White goes queen to e2. And here, the most common mistake by beginners is knight to f6. But this loses to knight to c6, discovered check, winning your queen. Therefore here, the main line is queen to e7. Here white takes your knight, then you can play d6. He cannot move his knight back because his queen will be hanging. Therefore, he goes d4. You just take in the center. White also takes. And then you go knight to c6, putting more pressure on this pawn. White goes knight to c3. And here, don't take this pawn with the knight, because white can go bishop to f4. And after you move your knight somewhere, then white can just take this pawn. You cannot recapture with the queen because it is pinned to the king. So this is a common mistake which you should avoid as black. So here the key move is to take with the queen, and after both sides trade off the queens, you can develop your pieces and then continue playing. Well, if you want to learn some chess traps in the Stafford Gambit, then you can check out this left video. And if you want to learn some other chess openings, then you can check out this right video. And if you don't want to miss more amazing videos like these, then don't forget to subscribe.